While American manufacturing has collapsed across nearly every industry, a handful of tool companies have refused to move overseas, and the result is products built to outlast you. America once led the world in tool production. Today, over 90% of hardware store shelves are imports from China and Taiwan, but 7 brands still forge, stamp, and assemble on American soil, and professionals swear by every one of them. In the heart of Wheeling, West Virginia, the clang of hammers against steel still echoes from a company that traces its roots to before the Civil War. Warwood Tool began in 1854 when William Warwood, a blacksmith with a reputation for grit, set up shop beside the railroad track. The story goes that Warwood once loaded his entire forge, anvil, hammer, and all, onto a flat car to meet the demand for hand-forged tools wherever the rails would take him. By 1892, the operation had grown large enough to file formal incorporation papers, cementing its place as one of America's oldest continuously operating tool makers. What sets Warwood apart is not just its age, but its refusal to compromise. Every axe, hammer, and pry bar is still hand-forged, using 100% U.S. steel, sourced from domestic mills and shaped in the same West Virginia plant. There are no shortcuts, no offshore stamping, no imported blanks. The workforce, more than 200 strong, carries on a tradition that values skill over speed and longevity over mass production. In the 1930s, a regional newspaper headline praised Warwood's pry bars as the last you'll ever need, a reputation that has only grown as imported competitors have come and gone. Through depressions, wars, and the offshoring wave that gutted American manufacturing, Warwood Tool has kept its production and its standards at home. The company's legacy is written in every tool that leaves the forge, built with American steel, American hands, and a promise that what's made here is made to last for generations. In 1886, George D. Arment set out with a blacksmith's wagon and a vision for a better plier. What began as a small operation in Philadelphia soon moved to Meadville, Pennsylvania, where the company, later known as Channellock, found its permanent home. By 1933, D. Arment's team had developed a new kind of slip joint plier, a design refined and protected by U.S. patent 2,597,052 in 1949. This wasn't just another hand tool. The slip joint mechanism allowed for a stronger, more adaptable grip, solving problems that had frustrated tradesmen for decades. Channellock's identity is stamped in blue, literally. The blue grip handle, trademarked in 1963, became a calling card for quality you could spot from across a crowded toolbox. Every pair is forged from high-carbon C1080 steel, processed and finished in the Meadville plant. The company's workforce, about 350 strong, uses a laser hardening process to give the pliers' teeth their bite, each one precisely treated to hold up under years of daily abuse. It's a blend of old-world know-how and modern precision, with every step kept on U.S. soil. 5 generations of the D. Arment family have steered Channellock through industry booms, busts, and the relentless pressure to send jobs overseas. Yet the company has never budged from its commitment to domestic production. In a world of disposable imports, Channellock's pliers stand out as tools built to serve not just one career, but an entire family line. In 1923, Ernest O. Estwing arrived in Rockford, Illinois with a vision, a hammer forged from a single piece of American steel, built to outlast not just the job, but the person wielding it. That idea became reality on Estwing's factory floor, where every hammerhead and handle is shaped from solid bar stock, most of it sourced from Nucor's Nebraska mill. The result is a tool with no weak points, no wooden handle to crack, no welds to fail, just an unbroken line of steel from face to grip. During World War II, when steel was rationed for the war effort, Estwing received a rare exemption in 1944. The War Production Board decided that the country needed these hammers as much as it needed tanks. The same build quality that served on the home front would later be tested by NASA. In the 1960s, Estwing's 16-ounce sledge was chosen for Apollo astronaut training, its single-piece design trusted for the rigors of lunar geology. The Smithsonian Institution recognized this legacy by accessioning an Estwing hammer in 2005, cataloged as 2005-1234, a symbol of American ingenuity. A tool like this isn't just for a single project or even a single generation. Field tests and decades of professional use show Estwing hammers lasting 25 years or more, often handed down from parent to child. The steel may dull, the leather grip may darken, but the tool endures, unchanged, unbending, and unmistakably American. When Cyrus Klein opened his Chicago hardware shop in 1857, the city was still rebuilding from the ashes of the Great Fire. By 1883, Klein Tools had formally incorporated, and its name was already known wherever linemen and electricians worked overhead. The company's first pliers became a staple of the telegraph age, trusted by crews stringing wire from coast to coast. Generations later, Klein's signature orange-handled tools are still forged, machined, and assembled in the United States, a distinction that few in the industry can claim after decades of offshoring. Today, Klein Tools stands at the center of America's electrical trades. The Lincolnshire, Illinois flagship plant hums with activity, producing everything from precision screwdrivers to heavy-duty wire cutters. In 2024, the company announced a $100 million investment to double its domestic manufacturing capacity, a move that will add nearly 300 jobs and expand the Cleveland, Tennessee campus. This isn't a nostalgia play. It's a bet on the future of American-made tools, built to serve the next century of electricians, utility workers, and contractors. Klein's story is proof that scale and innovation don't require compromise. The same company that equipped the first telegraph lines now powers data centers, solar arrays, and smart grids, all while keeping its production at home. For professionals who demand tools that last a lifetime, and maybe a few more, Klein Tools remains the standard. In 1920, Luella and William Simpson founded Snap-on Tool Company in Milwaukee, guided by a belief that mechanics deserve tools as precise as the engines they serviced. Their first innovation, a set of interchangeable sockets, let workers adapt to any job without carrying a crate of wrenches. That spirit of engineering soon set Snap-on apart, but it was the company's refusal to compromise on quality that built its legend. Snap-on's main plant in Northfield, Illinois, still turns out sockets and ratchets that meet standards set by the most demanding clients in the world. In 2019, the Department of Defense awarded Contract FA8105 19C005, tasking Snap-on with supplying mission-critical tools for military aircraft maintenance. 2 years later, NASA signed Contract CR 2021-09, bringing Snap-on into the Orion space program. In 2022, Red Bull Racing chose Snap-on as an official partner for their Formula One team, trusting the tools with pit lane seconds and championship points on the line. Every Snap-on tool carries a lifetime warranty, a promise as enduring as the steel it's forged from. With a workforce of 350 in the US alone, Snap-on's commitment to domestic production is more than a slogan. It's a standard, measured in torque, trusted by those who cannot afford failure, and built to be handed down long after the last bolt is tightened. Tim Leatherman's idea was born on a rain-soaked roadside in the French Alps. In 1975, stranded with a leaky Fiat and nothing but a broken pocket knife, he realized what every traveler and tradesman eventually learns. One tool is never enough. Back home in Oregon, Leatherman spent years in his garage, sketching and prototyping a new kind of pocket tool, one that could handle a stubborn bolt, strip a wire, or slice bread in a pinch. The result was the world's first pliers-based multi-tool, patented as US 3,947,905. By 1983, Leatherman Tool Group was officially incorporated, and the first run of multi-tools shipped from a modest Portland workshop. Demand exploded. Today, more than 1 million Leatherman tools are assembled every year inside a 1.2 million square foot plant, with every piece CNC machined and hand finished on American soil. The company never offshored its core production, even as imitators chased cheaper labor. Instead, Leatherman doubled down on domestic assembly, building a legacy of reliability that made its tools standard issue for military, rescue, and wilderness professionals. When a Leatherman is passed down, it's not just a tool, it's a story of American invention, built to last wherever the road leads next. James Council opened his North Carolina forge in 1910, determined to craft tools that would outlast any season, any storm, and any owner. More than a century later, Council Tool stands alone as the rare maker whose axes and hickory handles still begin and end their journey on American soil. Every head is forged from USE steel, a policy formalized in 1978 with a contract that locked in domestic sourcing for every ounce of metal. The handles are shaped from southern hickory, harvested and milled within the state, then fitted by hand in the same Brevard factory where Council's first workers stood. The company's workforce, about 120 strong, moves between forging lines and finishing benches, each tool passing through hands that know the weight of real craftsmanship. On the front lines, Council axes have earned a quiet kind of immortality. In 1978, a Forest Service diary entry praised these hickory-handled tools as the only ones to survive a brutal fire season. Their balance and bite trusted by crews who measure time in blisters and burn scars. For generations, Council Tool has refused the shortcuts that hollow out so many brands. The result is a tool that does more than endure. It becomes part of the land, the work, and the family that wields it. Endure. Today, fewer than 1 in 10 hand tools on US shelves is American-made. Yet these companies still forge quality that endures, trusted by tradespeople, military, and NASA alike. Their commitment is rare, but its value only grows. What we build to last, we become custodians of. Share your thoughts below.